Hello, everyone. My name is Dr. Bill Butler from Capital Technology University, and I'd like to welcome you to this year's edition of the Minority Panel on the Importance of the National Service, sponsored by Blacks in Cybersecurity and Military Cyber Professionals Association. I'd like to thank you all for joining out in the audience. This year's panel, we have a star-studded panel here today that will be talking to us about the importance of that national service. I'd like to extend thank BIC and MCPA for sponsoring this event again this year. Your continued support makes it possible for us to elevate minority voices and highlight the impact of national service across our communities. Today's conversation is about people, their stories, motivations, challenges, and the ways national service continues to evolve. We're here to talk openly, honestly, and with purpose. So with that said, I'd like to introduce the panel. So have each of you introduce yourselves and the organization that you represent. So we'll go kind of clockwise here and start with Kamisha and go around.
Hello, well, thank you. Honored to be here. My name is Carmisha Miller, and I am currently the Blacks in Cyber Military Relations and Veterans Program Lead, as well as the Black Women in Cyber Curriculum Learning Experience Lead.
Okay, we'll go around to Tiffany.
Hello, everyone. My name is Tiffany Shurenbrand. I'm a cybersecurity leader with a federal government agency. Currently, I am a doctoral student as well with Capital Technology University, studying space cybersecurity.
Hi, I am Shamika Chance Jeffrey, also cybersecurity chief with the federal government. Also currently a doctoral student, just not the same university, but a doctoral in cybersecurity with National University.
Okay, thank you, everybody. Great introductions, and now we'll get right into it here. We'll answer the questions in the same order that you introduced yourselves. So I'll read the first question. When you think about national service today, what feels most urgent or important to you personally?
And we're starting with me, right?
Yes.
Yes.
So I would say what feels most urgent to me is ensuring that national service evolves to meet all the challenges of today with AI, with other countries trying to, get into our networks and take down our infrastructure and our grid. So I think that is the biggest thing right now. I know that our nation also depends on people serving through, cybersecurity, public health, education, a bunch of different areas. So as that technology advances and the threats become more complex, which they do, I think that it's important that we have more people that are educated and more educated than the people that are trying to hurt us, and protecting that digital infrastructure, and building resiliency in the communities is critical, and just as critical as physically protecting our borders. So I think national security is about using the skills we have to make a meaningful impact, whether it's in uniform or as a civilian, and then just creating more opportunities for people with all backgrounds to contribute to the security of our country and our overall well-being.
All right. Well, I would say what feels most urgent to me is making national service feel reachable and relevant and meaningful to more people. A lot of people hear national service and only think about like joining the military, but service is a much broader than that. And you can serve in uniform or as a government civilian, as a contractor, in industry, academia, through nonprofit work, or by mentoring the next generation. So for me personally, national security is about using your skills to protect people, strengthen our communities, and to contribute to something larger than yourself. In cyber, that mission is urgent because the threats are no longer abstract. Cybersecurity affects our families, our schools, our hospitals, our financial systems, even our elections, our military operations, and even space systems. What matters most to me, though, is helping people see where they fit. Everyone does not have, to take the same route I took. Some people will serve through military service, some will serve through technical expertise, some will serve through leadership, policy, education, research, or community advocacy. So the urgent need is building pathways so more people, especially minorities and underrepresented communities, can see themselves in this work and know they belong.
So this is one of those things. Is what can I say that's different than both of you ladies? Because both of you definitely hit the nail on the head. But for me, one of the things when I think of national security, and what's more urgent to me is to bridge the gap. Finding methods and mechanisms for us to bridge the gaps between the things that we know, the things that we need, all of the rapid changing that's happening in cybersecurity, in that within the national security realm, and making that sure that we're being able to publicize some of the things as educational piece, so that those like mothers or daughters or brothers and sisters, those that might not have as much technical expertise, will have more accessibility to things, ensure that they're protected because they have a piece of that pie too. They're affected by the things that happens even in the national security realm, but finding a way to bridge the gap from industry and from between industry and national security, so that we can be as quick and rapid to respond to the events that we're well.
Okay, got quite an information from that answers to that first question. Let's go on to the second question here, which goes a little deeper. We talked about the national service to our nation. It's taking many forms depending on what path you take. How do you see, looking at the landscape today, how do you see national service changing as the world has become even more digital? There are more cyber threats, of course, AI, misinformation, and everything that comes with it. Can you talk a little bit about how the world has changed within the last year, and what your views are on that?
Absolutely. So I would say national service has expanded beyond the traditional roles, like I said before, just not the physical borders that we're protecting, but because the threats that we face have changed. So the critical infrastructure, the information people rely on every day has drastically changed in its nature. So we have artificial intelligence, the misinformation we're talking about, and attacks on our infrastructure that affects the world and, with real consequences, and has effect on national security, as well as the economy. A lot of people don't think about that, but as well as the economy, when you have misinformation, when you have things that are going on that affect the stock market and public trust. So when you have things that happen with certain organizations and they're no longer trusted the way they were initially or the way they were before, that becomes an issue. So I think the national service will become much more interdisciplinary. So we'll need different types of cybersecurity professionals, whether it's IA specialists. You'll also need data scientists, which we all already have, policy experts. Educators is also going to be important, because while you have, it takes better educators, I would say, and educators that have been in the field a little bit more, so they can teach that real world experience, so that as people are going into their initial jobs, they know at least the basics of what they need to know before they are given the opportunity to get that hands-on experience. So I think that's going to be very important, along with communications, working with military members and first responders. So it's definitely a group effort. So I think it'll increasingly involve protecting networks, critical infrastructure. I keep coming back to that one because that's the one that probably terrifies me the most. If somebody takes down a nuclear plant or does something to the entire subway system or something like that. So that's a concern. Also improving AI governance, because we know that AI is being used a lot more. So we need to have people that are able to govern that AI and be responsible for overseeing what's going on with it and telling people what they can and cannot do with it. And I think another big thing is combating misinformation through education and media that can be trusted media resources that people will actually go to instead of being misguided to other locations. And then I just think helping organizations become more resilient against those emerging threats. So having people in those organizations or people that those organizations can reach out to come in and do assessment of their organization and help them fix whatever needs to be fixed so that they're not as vulnerable to what could possibly happen. And with that being said, we know technology doesn't replace people. We will still always need people. Even with AI, we'll need governance over that AI because we don't want it to take over and start, doing whatever it wants to do or, programming itself like has happened before. So I think it's going to be just applying the skills where you can. Applying the skills of a myriad of different people will have the greatest impact, whether that's in uniform or civilian, private sector. We have a lot of government contractors. So I think all that in conjunction with each other is going to be important.
I totally agree with everything you said, Karmisha. And I'm probably going to piggyback on a lot of what you stated as well. National service definitely is becoming much more digital, and that changes the skills we need and the risks we face and the way we prepare people to serve. In the past, people may have thought of national defense mainly in terms of physical battlefields, but today, some of the most important battles are happening through like our networks and, data, identity, cloud systems, AI, and information operations. So, cyber threats, AI, and misinformation definitely create a new kind of national security challenge because they can affect people directly and quickly. A cyber attack can disrupt a hospital. Misinformation can definitely divide communities because we've definitely been seeing that a lot in the last few years. And AI can be used to accelerate both defense and offense. So identity compromise, can give an adversary access without even firing a shot. And because of that, national service has to evolve. And we need people who understand technology, but we also need people who understand ethics, policy, communication, culture, and human behavior. So cybersecurity is not just technical, it is operational as well, and it is strategic, and it is personal. So I also think this digital shift creates opportunity. Someone who may never have considered traditional military service may still be able to serve their country, our country, the country through cybersecurity, AI, assurance, threat intelligence, digital forensics, secure software, cloud security, risk management, or cyber education. So the future of service has to include these digital pathways.
Both of you ladies again. You definitely are hitting the nails on it. One of the things I can definitely say that I've seen as a rapid change, especially from doing this for so long, is the securing of AI. And I think that's definitely one of the challenges that we have. Because it is a learning module and a learning language. I know many of us have seen the iRobots and the Eagle Eyes in the movies and stuff, and that's really the things that I fear the most. Because these mechanisms have a way of learning and growing and evolving, sometimes evolving at a faster pace than what we can train and educate and create policy for. It's a struggle to keep up with. It's a struggle trying to implement, but we're also trying to ensure that we're able to secure the information, protect the people, because like you said, you don't want information getting out. You don't want the wrong information getting out into the wrong hands. But if these are moving at a faster pace than what we're able to keep up with, then that's one of the gaps that we definitely will need to tackle and bridge. And as Karmisha mentioned, education is a big one. I've stumbled into cyber throughout my career, but that was one of the things where if we're able to introduce this at a younger age, these kids are iPads and telephones, and they can run technology better than we can. But getting them into the mindset of, hey, we're doing this, but we're also going to teach you the right way of doing this, to look out for the wrong thing, to prevent the sharing of misinformation, to learn how to protect your home and your space, learn to look out for the threats so that it'll prepare you. So yes, like you said, Ms. Tiffany, that it will be able to open up opportunities. So now you can serve in different ways. So we have seen a shift in the federal services and national security, national service, focusing more on cybersecurity and evolving more into the cybersecurity realm to get into the policy making. And but is we're still, I feel like, a little behind the power curve compared to some of our adversaries. So.
Yeah, thank you for those comments. And I like the comments on what we do in the national service is interdisciplinary. It takes multiple skill sets to build our teams in service. We talk about the cyber arena a lot, but even in the cyber arena, we have folks that are culturalists and linguists, and we need people who understand people. It's not all about the technology all the time. And I think I like the points that y'all made there, and that's in the signal to our kids out there that you don't have to be a hacker, a world-class hacker to be effective in
Right.
serving your nation. And y'all also made the point that it's very personal in some cases. You got into service, you had a personal reason for coming in, and we're going to talk about that a little bit here. As you got into national service, is there something you want to tell the audience that surprised you about being in national service that you didn't even know or didn't even think or didn't consider?
So starting with me, I would guess I would say something I didn't know or didn't consider when I first got in probably was the lack of, let's say, I guess, support. I felt like you kind of get hired and you're qualified for the job, but as far as navigating the federal system when I first came in, it was just like, here you are, your GS whatever, and here's your job. But then as far as professional development, I kind of had to I felt like I had to seek out information a little bit more, like what do you pay for, what opportunities do you provide, not knowing that they also offered I was in the Army for 20 years and we had B.I.C and Warrant Officer Basic School and all those schools to elevate you, but just having to research those on the federal side with all the opportunities they provide, and then some of those opportunities were once you got to GS 14 or higher levels. So it was just hard, and then you had all the requirements to get into some of them. Your supervisor has to prove, and it was just a lot to get to further yourself. I felt like it shouldn't have been so difficult to do that.
Well, that was good, Carmisha. And one thing that was different for me after my, being a Army veteran and going into the civilian world was the emphasis placed on the difference between government, civilians, and contractors. There's definitely like a separation, and that was a huge difference for me in seeing that, because when I had done time in the Army and everybody is the same and everybody works together, and then having that separation was huge, and something to definitely try to get past. One thing people do not talk about enough is the emotional and the professional weight minorities often carry also while serving. Many minority participants are not just doing the job, they're also navigating representation, bias, isolation, code switching, and the pressure to prove they belong in spaces where there may not be many people who look like them. And sometimes people talk about recruitment, but they do not talk enough about retention and support. It is, not enough to invite minorities into service, but organizations have to create environments where they can grow, lead, and, make mistakes and recover, and also, be seen as whole professionals. So mentorship is also a major issue. Access to mentors and sponsors and honest career guidance can completely change someone's trajectory. So, many people have the talent, discipline, and drive, but they may not have someone explaining how to navigate clearances, certifications, military to civilian transition, federal career paths, contracting, leadership opportunities, or different cyber specializations. So I also think we need to talk more about how different backgrounds are actually strengths. Minority communities often bring resilience and adaptability, cultural awareness, creativity, and problem solving skills that are incredibly valuable in national service and cybersecurity. So, those qualities should not be overlooked.
And also humor. We're usually pretty funny too.
Yes. And yes, definitely humor for sure. 'Cause I definitely like to laugh and joke.
Um, for me, when I came into federal service, I was straight out of college. So I was fortunate enough to come in as an intern straight out of college. But the shock was there wasn't many of us that came out that looked like me. There was many times when I walked into the organization. Number one, I'm the only Black person that's in my section, or I'm the only female, or both.
Mhm.
And so having to navigate that and let people know, like, hey, listen, let me kill your stereotypes. I have to come in the door to let you know this is what I'm not, this is what I'm not, this is not what you're going to see from me. You will see professionalism, you will see that. You will not associate me with anybody else you may have experienced in the past. Now we can move forward. Hated to have to lead with that, but that was one of those things where I kind of had to establish that up front, just so folks wouldn't kind of already come up with they already got their blinders on whenever they see you. They go, oh, you look angry, or they assume that you're that way because you're a woman, oftentimes. So, but for me was like you said, Tiffany, was the contrast between the government workers and the contractors. I've always come from one because I was one that came up through the ranks. I've always worked around with everyone. I worked with our enlisted, I worked with the officers, I've worked with contractors, and what they did, I did. What I did, some of them did. Granted, some things they couldn't do for permissions, but as I've grown and moved on to some organizations, they were like, no, we expect contractors to do this, and we expect you to do that. And so it's a separation. I'm like, how do you create continuity? How do you create more of a family? You know what I mean? Because we're all
Right.
working towards a similar goal. We're all working to make sure we can get this mission done. And we can't do this if I'm sitting beside my buddy and it's an us and them situation. So that was one of my big culture shocks with it. And as Aisha, you mentioned, like the lack of support in some areas. There were times I've gone seeking information and someone flat out told me that looked at me like I was trying to take their position. I'm like, I'm an intern. Like, what do you mean? I don't want your I'm a lonely old GS7. Like, what do you mean? I'm just trying to get information so I can understand my job and do my job better. Like, I'm not in competition with you. Help me grow, because at the end of the day, like, I'll tell them, your job isn't the one I want. I wanted your boss's job. I want that
Right.
position. I didn't want yours.
Right.
Yeah. That was one of the challenges, especially as an intern and then growing up, because I had a coworker to tell me when I had a supervisor that kind of rubbed me the wrong way a little bit one day. And she told me, she was like, remember this feeling. You're going to be in a position one day to make decisions. Remember how you felt so you won't make mistakes. And so that's one of those things that I've always carried with me. So, yeah.
Wow. Yeah. That was a lot on that round about your individual experiences coming in as an intern, coming into the military. I just want to share a story. Did you guys know there was such thing as a GS1?
No.
Yeah, I
Oh,
was at
A GS1?
I think
I was
so. I think I knew
I was
that.
a GS1 lab assistant in college.
Wow.
Department of Agriculture. A lot of people don't know there's such thing as a GS1. I was
Wow.
that. I had that. That was my first government rank. So it does exist as an intern. Okay.
Wow.
So we want to go. Each of you walked a different path. So I want you to get back in your way back machine. What was not in place then that could have helped you along your way? That if you had the power, you would put in place to help your self in the past have a lot better transition into national service. And you can answer in whatever order you like.
Mentorship. If I had really good mentorship to help me walk that path, I think I would have made some better decisions sooner, or wouldn't have had to stumble as much when it came to learning within the positions.
I agree 100%. I would say definitely mentorship, and definitely having people that share information. You have a lot of people that like to hog information, like in jobs, because they're trying to be competitive, like Shamik was saying, and they don't want you to take their job. So they'll try to seem like they're the most knowledgeable by keeping all the information. They want to be the go-to person instead of sharing information with you. So I think if people would not do that so much, then I think I would have, probably enjoyed it a lot more and probably learned a lot more. But it just seemed like it was so competitive that people just, they didn't want to help you unless they absolutely had to.
I'm a little different. And I guess I'm gonna say I got it from the Army and just being assertive. So not necessarily mentorship for me, because I know how to go out and get an answer per se, but I would definitely say for me, it would be learning contracts and learning the different contractual terms and knowing the difference between what this is and what that is, and being able to navigate with that. Because I feel, knowing that terminology and that language, it could help you at the end of the day when you are hearing from your leaders, different things that they're saying, like, okay, well, this is what's going to happen and this is what's coming up, and not having like wool pulled over your eyes at the end of the day. So just knowing, different contractual terms and, what different things mean when it comes to especially contract, like a contract worker. So I would definitely say contracts for sure.
Okay, we heard mentorship. We heard more knowledge, domain specific knowledge coming through the door. I just wanted to ask, we talked about mentors, the three of you. Did you seek out your first mentor, or did your first mentor approach you?
I seeked out my first mentor.
Was that hard to do? Was that hard to do? Did you?
It was hard to find somebody that really dedicated the time. Like I reached out to them and they were like, "Sure, I'll be your mentor," but like kind of trying to track them down to find time to actually sit down with me and do it was a little bit more challenging. It eventually happened, but just with them being so busy and doing a lot of other things, it was hard. But I waited because they were somebody that was successful that I, looked up to and I respected. So I was like, I see that you're doing things the right way. You know what you're doing. So I'll wait. And I did, and it helped. It helped a lot. I learned a lot.
I have not taken the time to seek a mentor. And I would definitely say, going back to one of my answers as well, is it's hard to find someone that I feel not necessarily looks like me, but has the same type of personality, where I feel that either you're not going to feel that I'm trying to take your job or I want your job, but to, actually give me or help me learn the keys to success, and, not, try to gatekeep on uh, different pathways that I could take. So that's why I went to, contracts, because I've never, really looked into like the mentorship role, but uh, it, it wouldn't, it wouldn't hurt. I've done a lot of mentorship to others, especially the younger generation, like volunteering with different organizations around where I deal with middle school and high school minority girls. And, I give it to them straight and I talk to them and I'm like, I was where you were. So don't think that you cannot make it because you don't see representation of yourself somewhere. Don't let your environment be the end all be all. So instead of, me seeking out mentorship, I have found that I love giving back that mentorship to my community.
So I would say that I didn't seek them, nor do I think that they sought me, if that helps. Some of the tidbits that I got were people that we interacted with each other for whatever reason, and then they said, "Hey, I've been watching you." You a little nugget, but I might not see them for the next year. So, hey, I've been hearing this about you. I might not see you for another 6 months. So, not that it was anyone that was consistently saying, "Hey, Shamik, I'm gonna take you and I'm gonna take you under my wing, and we're going to walk this path, and I'm going to help you." It'd be, "Hi, you're the deputy director of the organization. Hey, what is your plan? What are you going to do? I want you to do this," and then I won't mention it again after that. So,
Mhm.
um, it was one of those. But as Tiffany said, like anyone that comes across my path, and now I'm like, okay, listen, hey sis, hey bro,
Mhm.
what you listen, hey sir, ma'am, regardless, what is your plan? What is your goal? What are you trying to
Mhm.
do? How can I help you get there? What can I do to help get you there? Okay, cool. You want to do this? Okay, bet I'm gonna put you on this team. You're gonna get exposed to this. You're gonna do this. We're gonna talk later. But it's giving what I knew I needed at that point. So.
And
Definitely. And I would
holding them
say,
accountable as well.
Absolutely.
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 And I'll
Because,
say my first mentor
okay.
didn't look like me. It
Mm.
wasn't one of us. So it was still not the same. Like it wasn't, I would say it didn't feel like necessarily home, but they did help me out. I felt like there were probably some things that I didn't get, like some other people probably got. But I can say that, they did help me tremendously. And that's why we do the Black Women in Cyber. And we have our cohorts twice a year where we have 50 ladies that, apply for the cohort, get accepted, and we mentor them and we, teach different classes and labs and just kind of give them, what they need to know, whether it be, how to interact with people. Like the last
Mhm.
cohort, we talked about, the angry Black woman syndrome. We talked about,
Mhm.
locks in the workplace. Like we talked about some of everything because those are things that they need to know and how to
Mhm.
deal with those things. So I think
Yeah.
mentoring is like crucial, especially now. We want more people in the field, and they may get in the field, but they're not going to say because they don't feel welcome. They don't feel
Mhm.
like they have any support, and they just eventually like, you know what, it's too hard to do this, so I'm just going to go back to what I know and what I'm used to. So that's
Yep.
unfortunate.
That's funny with the angry woman because that was one of the statements I would tell. Well, I'm not going to be the angry Black woman in the office. So that is sad,
It's
but
crazy
that's the
that we had to say that.
reality.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah.
And you saying that is, it's sad that that is a stereotype. That happened to me my first duty station. When I got there, my NCOIC, I mean, the first time he met me and our first conversation, he was just like, just because you're a female, don't think I'm not gonna, because I got to my first duty station and 2 months later we deployed to Afghanistan for a year. And he was like, just because you're a female, I don't think that I'm not going to put you on a gun truck when we get to Afghanistan, and just you're not going to be lazy and you're going to do this and that. And I just was like, oh my gosh, like, why does he come at me like that? That's not
Right. Why is
even
that an
me, but like,
assumption?
yeah, like you don't even know me. And then, after being there for a while, I met the other African American female that was in the shop as well. And that is, I guess, something that, uh, you know, I don't know. He's something he saw in her that he just assumed that I was going to be the same way. So, uh, when you say angry Black woman, it's sad that we have to state that
Leave it
and
at
to give that information from the jump when it should just be, a new person and you make your own determination off of
Absolutely.
how they act.
absolutely.
Yep.
Wow. Yeah, having been in the military and seeing that, I can remember when I was second lieutenant, I was in the Marines, and I can't tell you how many times I went places. They said, I've never seen a Black Marine officer ever. There were lots of us, but I mean, but they thought that they needed to say that to me. So,
Hmm.
and I know you had similar experiences, and that does carry a weight with it. Um,
Hmm.
with it. But if you always strive for excellence, even with that being said, and you being observed, my parents and my grandparents always said they're always watching you. Make sure
Hmm.
you're good and make sure you're excellent
Yep.
at all times, and that
All
always stayed
times.
with me. So
Hmm.
it doesn't matter what they think or what
You have to be
perceptions
better.
they have. Right. I have
Absolutely.
my own perceptions of myself, and I use my own mirror to look at myself, and
Right.
you learn those things over time. Um, but I just can't help. But this is a very educated panel. So part of national service, I can say for myself, all but one of my degrees was paid for because of my national service. Can y'all talk about that? Who would benefit a little bit? Two of you are earning the highest degree.
Hmm.
Well, let me just start as a PhD dropout. Okay. So I got both my bachelor's and my master's when I was in the military. So I tell people all the time, if you're in the military, like that's one benefit, that if you give it away, like if you don't use it, it's just insanity. Um,
Hmm.
Fortunately, now people can give it to their children, so that's helpful. But when I retire, like I still have GI Bill. I have 13 months left on my GI Bill. So I've started and stopped my PhD program twice because it was hard. And at the moment, I was just like, this is not something I want to do right now. So I just kind of stopped. So, I still plan on using every dime of my GI Bill. Now I think I'm going to use it more towards something that's in artificial intelligence or cloud computing. I want to go that way because I know that, that's going to be the way of the future. But I tell people, if you don't use it and you just give that free money back, then you are absolutely insane. It's one of the best benefits they can give you. And transferring it to your kids. For a child to graduate from college and not have student loan debt is huge. So if you're not going to use it, at least give it to your children, because there are people, I know people that graduated 10, 15 years ago and they're still paying on student loans. So that's something that you definitely want to make sure that you use. It's there. Why not take advantage of it? Yeah, that's my take on it.
Well, something I learned while in the Army is pretty much the Army's going to use you, so you might as well use what they have available for you, and that's something that I always took with me the entire time I was in the Army, from start to finish. I was getting degrees, so I got a bachelor's in criminal justice while I was in. I got a master's in national security while I was right before I got out. And since I've been out, I used my GI Bill. I used it all up. I got a master's in cybersecurity and currently working on my doctorate in space cybersecurity. So, something else that many people may not know is currently, if you were in the military during a certain time, when the Montgomery GI Bill was in effect and you switched over to the post 9/11 GI Bill, you can use all of your post 9/11 and your Montgomery GI Bill will pick it up. So I just used all of my post 9/11, I think a month or two ago, and my next classes for my doctorate, my Montgomery GI Bill will pick up from that. So I should be able to either almost complete the doctorate with the post 9/11 GI Bill and my Montgomery GI Bill. So definitely get what is given to you, and just like Hermisha said, If you don't want to do it and you're saving it for your children, definitely do that, because you don't want that to go. If you don't use it, they'll get rid of it. And I think we've definitely seen that throughout the years as well, where people don't use it and they just say, "Oh, okay, well, we don't need to give you this much money." So it's been given to you. You worked for it, you earned it, and just use it.
So I was never in. My husband is retired Air Force, so thanks to him, he has veteran benefits. So that's what I'm
Mhm.
using to take care of my doctoral. But even through my internship with the federal government, they do offer some incentives for bringing people in. And sometimes, if you get within the right organization and there's funding, there'll be retention as well. So, lucky for me, whenever I came through my internship, they paid for my bachelor's degree. So, any student loans I had was student loan repayment as an incentive for coming in. And they also offered, and I got tuition assistance to pay for my master's. So those two were covered through the time that I was in the program. Um, the again, like the doctoral, I was just on a whim. My husband, you know, for his blessing and his service, I'm able to tap into the VA. So but yeah, but he's doing the same. He's burdened to his as well because he's also back in school as well. But yeah, definitely use the funds that are out there and that's available. But just letting anyone know, because again, I never served. That if you were to come into federal service as a civilian, that sometimes there are other programs and incentives that are out there for you as well.
Great. It looks like you're well aware of the benefits of that of the national service. I think this is not just a job. Yeah, this is more like a calling and a dedication. To what we do. We serve the public.
Absolutely.
Which is totally different. We're not looking for profit and loss. We
Right.
look at American citizens need to be taken care of, and
Absolutely.
we're doing our part to do that. And those benefits are a reflection of that because our civilian counterparts they're looking and saying, "You get what?" But
Hmm.
you didn't go to Afghanistan, so or
True.
or your husband wasn't gone for 18 months serving. This is a whole different world that we live in federal service, and we're very deserving of the benefits that we get.
Hmm.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
So So we want to close off in any order you like. How and Tiffany, you spoke to this already. How do you use your national service to benefit the community? What is unique about what about national service have you used to leverage and help your community in whatever way you see you can?
I would say, national service can help communities become more resilient by building trust and sharing that knowledge and connecting people to a purpose. In cyber, a lot of people feel overwhelmed. And because technology moves so fast and the threats can be invisible, national service can help close that gap by bringing cybersecurity awareness and digital literacy, mentorship, and practical support directly into communities. So I think resilience starts with education, and communities need to understand how to protect themselves from scams and identity theft
Mm.
and misinformation, cyberbullying for sure, definitely with the younger children, and data exposure. So but they also need to see cybersecurity as a career field that they can enter, not just something that happens to them. And most of these children, they start off with an iPad from 2 or 3. We need to start making sure that they have different applications that's going to teach them things like coding and learning different things that'll help them in the future once they get older. Um, and also, national service, can build a connection by bringing people together from different backgrounds, definitely around a shared mission. When people serve together, they learn from each other and they see different perspectives, and they can build relationships across communities that may not normally interact. So, looking ahead, I believe, national service can be a powerful force for cyber resilience if we treat it as both a security mission and a community mission. And protecting the nation is not only about protecting systems, it's also about, protecting people, trust, opportunity, and the future.
Okay. I will say national service can help in a ton of different ways. One of the most important things that I see and that I like usually put out to our cohorts is in reference to getting a job when you're just entering the field. Most national security agencies, whether it's the NSA, the CIA, DISA, DOW, they all have internship programs. And those internship programs give people an opportunity that otherwise may not be able to get into that type of service, the opportunity to actually get education and do hands-on training and actually see what it's going to be like in the actual field and work beside other people that are actually doing it. And a lot of those internships, probably like Shamika was saying, gave them the opportunity to move on to a job in that org, which is huge. I tell people all the time, if you can get your foot in the door after an internship, and it's an organization where you can pivot in, say it's one of the larger ones where I want to do this now, but now I want to do threat analysis or I want to do penetration testing. If it's a large enough organization, you can pivot and you can go to those different areas and stay in the same exact agency, build your reputation, build your experience, build your resume. What I do see happen a lot of times is some people will do that. They'll stay for a while and then they'll go on to contracting or some kind of, outside service because of the money. So I think, also coming up with some kind of program that will, encourage people to stay and to show people that they are appreciated and what they do is more important, would help with the retention, because it's not always about money. A lot of times it's just like feeling like you should be there, feeling like you're appreciated, those type of things. Right. So I think that's truly important. Is that those internships are vital, because we're finding that some of the systems that say they're entry level, or some of the job roles that say they're entry level, require 3 to 5 years of experience, which is not entry level. Whereas if you do an internship, when they say internship, they know that you're coming in with maybe just a degree, or maybe you're a junior or a senior in college, and they're willing to work with you and teach you what you need to know to be successful. And that can lead to a very successful career. So I think that's one of the things that national service is good for. Also, as Tiffany was saying, with education, with cybersecurity awareness, I think that's huge. I don't know how many times my mom has paid ransomware people, and I do cybersecurity, and I'm like, you gave them how much? You gave me that money.
Oh my gosh.
So just making sure the elderly especially know about these scams and stuff, and some of the stuff that they put out there. I think it's great. They have websites where you can go and get all the different information. So I think that's definitely crucial, because some people just don't know. Older generations who weren't raised on computers, they know, didn't know I wasn't supposed to give my social security number on the phone, or not email my password, or why can't I click on that link? So the campaigns that the National Service do, I think are critical for that as well. But the biggest thing I think definitely is the internships and the job opportunities that they provide people that ordinarily wouldn't get that opportunity.
Carmisha, I would definitely piggyback off of the internship piece. The reason why I was even able to get into it is because someone who graduated from my school decided that she wanted to come back because she came through the same program. And she learned about it through like Ebony or Jet magazine. It was an ad.
Oh, wow.
When she came. But she decided it was going to come back and recruit from the school that she went to. And so that was the first, and that was the only time that they had recruits to even come back to that school, and only 4 of us were selected. The blessing was 4 of us African Americans, 2 females, 2 male. But you think about the number of people, the number of interns that will come through that program at any given moment, to see that, hey, we wouldn't have had that opportunity if somebody said, hey, I'm going to go back and give back. Unfortunately, with the shift and everything, it's changed how they do everything now with the internships now, and everything is more on USA Jobs. But tell people to, seek the internships even while you're in school, going through the colleges and stuff as well. work with your university student services, because they have a lot of resources in a lot of places. If they're looking for that experience, you can get that experience through some of those programs before you come into federal service, or before you come into any national service, whether you're a contractor, whether you're military, or coming in as a civilian. But seek that to get that experience, because you never know the little tidbits and things that you can pick up, or the opportunity that is going to open up for you later on. Another thing, I know we mentioned the community and stuff, but we may have to do like the folks do, like the politicians do. We may need to go into the churches and go into the community centers, especially for our elderly. Talk to the youth of your churches. Go to the youth center. I believe like here in this area that I reside in, there are programs with some of the middle school and high school students to get them into cyber. And these kids are out here competing into like catch the flag in high school. So they are way further advanced. Like I didn't have a chance to do any of that until I was going through a course 4 years ago. Didn't have any idea of any of that stuff. How I was a coding background from college, but like I haven't seen this in 15 years. What are we talking about? Like I gotta do what now? But finding what ways to, like you said, definitely educate to one, teaching parents what to look out for their kids. Two, definitely tackling our elderly, because the sophistication of the way people are getting into our stuff, from the our personal items and our cell phones, like you said, with the ransomware, with our elderly and stuff, phone calls, teaching them the signs and things to look for. We definitely have to probably go meet them where they are, because you know they're not on. Some are on Facebook, some are on. They try to get out on TikTok. You try to tell them don't buy everything off the TikTok shop. They don't
Please don't.
But, yeah, it's trying to teach them those things. And making sure that you're keeping them in the forefront, but also letting them know, like, hey, you have a face, you have somebody that looks like you, that knows. And so because of that, we have a different level of trust, and they will probably listen to us more than the person at Best Buy, that Geek Squad, that may also be stealing their information or something. You know, you never know.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that. Yeah, and you know, it's very clear from our panelists. This is a high-powered panel here, that government service is very selective. Also, getting promoted is very selective. It's very competitive. I know folks in outside of the government may not realize that, but it is very competitive. It's not easy to get in, and to stay and get promoted, you must continuously train and improve yourself. And at the end of your career, you can look back and say you made a difference, because again, the bottom line is we serve the public, and that's totally different from someone in the private sector, where profit and loss is the motivation. So I'm glad to see that all three of you were involved in national service along with myself, and we're in good hands. No matter where you are, we're going to be in good hands. Whether it be firing off a missile or making sure the contract is right, so we can hold those folks accountable that are providing services for us. All of those things are crucially important. So we want to, I noticed it's the 250th. I'm a history buff. I watched the History Channel almost nonstop, and I was just amazed by how long minorities have served in the government, whether they have been the continental, the 13 states, original states, all the way to the nation forming. We have always been there. Not always talked about, but we've always been there. And I'm very proud of that tradition. And I think we're upholding that tradition of being the foundation of this nation and continuing to be that. Are there any closing remarks from any of you? Any order you'd like to go in? If you looked into the camera out there for the high school kid or the college kid, or just a traditional, someone in a traditional job wanting to transition, what would you say to them?
I guess
I would say, oh, go ahead.
I would say if it's something that you're, for the high school students especially, if it's something that you're halfway interested in, reach out to somebody that's in that field. See if you can shadow them for a day, or see if you can go to work with them. Granted, if it's not in a cleared environment or something like that, but see if you can get information for them to see if it's something that you really want to do. And for those people who those high school students may come to, make it seem exciting. Don't lie, but show them the goods of what you're actually doing. Show them the difference that you're making in the nation, and then they'll be more than likely to want to go into that. But don't discourage them. Say there's something you don't like from your job and they're interested in cyber or and they're in STEM or whatever. Don't be negative, because their experience may be different from your experience. So just, try to stick to what's good about your jobs. Try to stick to what you like about your job. Definitely be honest about, the difficulty it may be, how hard it may be, the requirements that they'll need to do that job, but still be encouraging to them and keep in contact with them. If they trust you enough to come to you, then that means they trust you. So, maybe get their information at a later time, call to check in on them. Hey, what did you decide? And then they feel like, oh, they actually remembered that, they actually cared. So then they're more than likely to be like, okay, well, maybe I will pursue this. So just don't ignore people. I would say definitely if they ask you questions about it, or if they ask you to be a mentor and you can do it and have the time, don't ignore people. Give people the opportunity to have what you maybe didn't have, because it may not mean much to you, but it could mean the world to them.
I would definitely say, be assertive and work for you. One thing that I learned, and one of the reasons why I went into the cybersecurity field, is because I knew that it's based off of me and my assertiveness and what I want to learn and the path that I want to take. Cybersecurity is a wide field where you're not. Some people probably know everything, but you do not have to know everything. You can tailor or choose a path that you want to stick on, and you don't have to learn the whole thing, because it's going to be a lot of information. But also, if you are someone that does not necessarily like to go to school, you could definitely get certifications and study for a few months, take that exam, get your certification, and build your resume that way. Because a lot of jobs are going away from technically having a degree per se, like a bachelor's or a master's degree. But if you have 5 certs in Security Plus or CISSP or a CISM, that shows them that you know what you're doing as far as the terminology, and how to make A go to B, point to B. And the biggest message would be that I want people to take away is there is room for you in national service, and you do not have to have a perfect path and a traditional background or all the answers on day one. Just if you're willing to learn, lead, and serve, and stay committed to the mission, then there is a place for you. That's all I have.
Thank you.
One of the things I would definitely say is always willing to learn. This field is going to continue to evolve. There's things I'm doing now that I was not even looking at doing at 5 years ago, 2 years ago, even last year. Always keep in mindset that you have to be teachable, remain teachable in this position. And if you're already in this position, and as Carmisha and Tiffany both say, remain approachable, become that mentor. Like give the persons or these young folks that are coming to you seeking guidance because you've walked this path, give them what you needed or what you felt you needed whenever you was coming up. Be that the reason for them. Be that person that they can confide in. So once they get into that career, they have you to lean back on and to have those on that candid conversations with to help them get through a difficult time. But one of the things you said, Dr. Butler, that has definitely stuck with me was that the weight that is carried for us. It's already hard for us stepping into a place where, like you said, we're few in numbers, especially in technology. And then add on cybersecurity, and then for us as women, add that on. Like I was going through whenever we was meeting the panel earlier, and I saw some of the questions before this session. I was like, I had to literally go back and think, like, how many Black women in cybersecurity did I know? And it wasn't many. Not many Blacks in cybersecurity that I know. So we are very few and far between, and we do carry away when we walk into rooms. But you don't want the weight that you carry to be such a burden to where you throw that on someone else, where now it's harder for them to carry also. Help lighten that load. We're here to carry each other. We're here to be here for each other. So continue to support, because if we get more of us, it will become easier for us to carry this thing. And now we're the trusted face. Now we're no longer the minority within the organization. But seek every opportunity. Seek and like just be who you needed for yourself when you was coming up. That's the biggest one.
And one more thing, don't think that everybody is against you.
Absolutely.
That's something else. Everybody
Yeah.
is not against you.
I'm glad you said that, Tiffany, because I tell my students, don't take everything personal at
Yep.
work. Don't take everything,
Right.
even if it was meant to be
Right.
personal. You don't have to respond that way. You just keep doing
Absolutely.
what you do, and you'll be fine.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, this year's National Service Panel is coming to an end. This has been a lively session. I met two superstars in government, either were in government or still are. And we would like to thank BIC and MCPA for continuing to sponsor these National Service Panels. I'd like to thank my panelists who took time out of their busy schedules. This is their evening time, by the way. They should be at home enjoying themselves, but they're here with us, sharing their knowledge and their experience. We appreciate that. This particular, this will play during the time of DEF CON. It will hit the BIC and the MCPA websites, so you'll be able to watch this video in its entirety. Again, that concludes the National Service Panel for its 2026, and thank you for viewing. Goodbye.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Mm.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you,
Bye.
ladies.